Species.
Have you ever had a situation where you find out that everyone else knows something and you don't, and you just feel really stupid?
Yeah,
So
it's horrible.
At dinner the other night with some friends, and someone else's friends made a comment that I thought was really kind of off color. As we're leaving, I'm like, I can't believe that so-and-so said that. They all looked at me like I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And they go, doesn't everyone know that koalas have chlamydia?
Hi, and welcome to Origin of Species. My name is Scott. I'm here with my friend Steve, and we're getting more fun animal facts. Is that a true
That
fact?
is. I looked it up afterwards, and again, I
Ew.
felt like an idiot that
You
I
shouldn't
didn't.
feel-
but
you shouldn't feel
But
like
again,
an idiot.
everyone looked at me, and it was like saying,
Yeah,
the sun's going to come up from where?
yeah.
Everyone knew this apparently, but I've looked it up, and from reputable sources, apparently there's a chlamydia problem with koalas. Now, how it's gotten into their group, what the hell they're doing down in Australia?
I was about to say.
Which I like Australia, and that's actually how it came up. Someone is going to go visit down there,
Yeah.
and
Well, there's no rules down there, even with koalas. Apparently.
I don't know. So I haven't gone that step further to find out why, because I feel like I don't want to have to put those extra words in the
Nope.
Google. Once I've put koalas and chlamydia
No.
in Google, I feel like I've done about as much. That's as far as I want to go.
Right. Well, here's the deal. If it's true, it's no biggie because there's like vets and stuff that are doing searches. If it's not real and they were just toying with you to get to see if you put it in, then you're on a list.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had many of those times, and they're hard to live down. I don't think you should feel bad about that. I mean, you must have some really smart friends. I had a moment where I've had a lot of these moments.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I have a little bit of an airhead thing sometimes where I just say something. I remember kind of being shocked one time when I saw a reindeer because I didn't think reindeer were real. I thought they were like made up, like they were like,
but you
Santa
hear-
Claus, like Rudolph. Okay, I know Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is not real. I literally just thought it was like deer. There were elk.
Are you saying Santa Claus isn't real?
Oh, I hope my kids don't listen to this.
I hope they don't either, because they're going to learn about chlamydia. So,
Yeah, they're already scarred if they're listening. But
yeah.
so these friends must be pretty smart though.
Or people are talking about Australia a whole lot more than I am. But anyway, still like Australia. We actually have a decent amount of listeners down there. I'm surprised.
I noticed that. Australia is one of our biggest countries, but man, France is out of control. Have you looked at that?
I think they don't get a lot of people coming out in support of them like I did. I made a pretty strong stance.
I feel
for
like
France.
I feel like when you made that comment, it did make a difference. So,
Yeah.
French people, we love you.
Yeah. Australians, we still love you. We're just not going to touch your
Right.
STD-ridden cuddly bears.
Yeah. What are they? Pandas with the clap, or what is it? Not pandas. What are they?
Bears?
Koalas.
I like calling pandas. What's it?
Clap pandas.
Clap pandas.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the title of Young Gravy's next album.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to know what
Yeah.
the kangaroos have.
Oh,
Crabs or something. All right. Well, anyway, sorry. I always have to take it one step too far. But.
It's okay. That's what we do.
All right. So Australia, we love you.
Yeah.
France, we love you more. Steve, you're bringing the words, phrases, idioms tonight.
So
What do we got?
today our theme revolves around pennies.
Pennies.
So the little 1 cent.
Well, why do we have pennies? Should we?
So you can have them trapped in crevices in your car, and
Yep.
occasionally like maybe getting your lighter or your power. It's not a lighter anymore. It's funny.
No, it's shaped exactly like the lighter thing,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
to power your.
I've actually blown a fuse in my car with a penny. doing
Have
that.
you really?
Yeah. So for most of the uses I have with pennies are getting them stuck places, pouring soda on them so then they become sticky.
Right.
Had
Me
it-
too. I've got the sticky pennies in my
Yeah.
cup holder. Sorry
Yeah.
for the gesture I just made.
It's
but
okay.
Yeah.
I just
sticky
imagine
pennies.
a koala hanging onto those
Yeah.
pennies. So, I had heard somewhere that we're potentially getting rid of the penny.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. But then, and by the way, Logan asked me the other day, hey, what are pennies made of? Because he's like, they're not made from copper. And I was like, how do I not know this? I looked it up and I forgot. Yeah. So anyway, I know that we're not here to talk about what they're made of, but
yeah, we're not going to do that. We don't want to get too many penny facts, even though they are 97.5% zinc.
Yes, I got it right in time before you said it. Zinc. It hit me right.
And the remaining 2.5% is copper.
Okay, a little bit of copper. Yeah. So
I'm taking my penny facts from me. So,
was that a penny fact?
It was a penny fact, but it's not as fun as skin facts.
Knowing you've got more penny facts along the way.
I'm going to take it easy. I don't want to be too predictable.
Okay.
But I am going to start with one that I thought actually was pretty predictable and had a better history than I thought. So the first idiom we're looking at is a penny saved is a penny earned.
Okay. Yeah. I always thought this one was weird because I didn't know what it meant. Mm-hmm. I still kind of don't know. I think it means by not spending that penny, it's just as if you had earned a penny. Yeah. Or does it have something to do with interest? I don't think it's that. I think it's the first thing,
I think it's actually a little both there. So there's the idea of you haven't spent it. You didn't get rid of it.
Right.
And the power of compound interest. So to go back to two things that creepy Uncle Steve likes to put out there for everyone, anyone who listens to this, especially if you're younger, do two things. One, make sure you at minimum go your 401k match that your employer provides you. Don't think, I don't need to put 3%. I need to do whatever it is people do that are younger than me.
Go to Applebee's.
Yeah, go hang out with koalas. Do that, and also make sure to moisturize.
Yes.
You got to moisturize. Your skin's not going to take care of itself.
Right.
Moisturize.
You don't want to look like a friggin' penny.
Yeah.
I started moisturizing too late. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I was like 38 before I realized it wasn't like.
I mean, it's worked for me. I'm in my mid 40s, and sometimes people say I look like I'm in my late 30s.
Yeah,
so
right.
I mean, it's really paid off for me.
I have had that moment where I meet someone and they're like, I'll maybe mention my, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have thought you were older than, it's like 1 year younger. Oh, thanks. Yeah. But
hey,
I agree with you. 401k and moisturizing. So a penny saved is a penny earned. Right. And I think, and tell me, I have a feeling that there's a twist to this because to me, this is like something that, Ben Franklin had in his big book of everything he said.
So when I actually was not even going to consider this for the episode, but then I saw, because I thought Ben Franklin did it, which he did. He is known for promoting that, but he didn't invent it.
Okay.
So obviously the idea of like saving money and, not spending it and compound interest being good, he didn't invent that. But the phrase he didn't invent either, which I was surprised. So going to our friends at Phrases UK, the first use of this came from a proverb from a man named George Herbert, who we're going to talk about some of his other proverbs, is actually in his very excitingly titled book, Outlandish Proverbs.
Ooh.
I mean, I'd see that on ye old bookshelf, and
heck yeah,
that's a good adjective. Outlandish.
Yeah.
So his use of it is a penny spared is twice got.
Okay.
So not necessarily a penny saved,
but
but
that's absolutely where Mr. Franklin got that from.
That's where it comes from, and so that's circa 1633. So spend a little time with George Herbert there, and once you start off with a proverb like that. You figure he's got to have some other good ones.
More wisdom.
Yeah. So there's some. I'd say he's one of those guys. Like there's batters and bait. He's like I'd say like the Proverbs Rob Deere. You remember Rob Deere?
Of course. Yeah.
Rob Deere either hit a home run.
That's right.
Or he really struck out.
Right. The 2 outcome guy.
Yeah. He was. There was something was going to happen out of that.
Yeah.
So just a couple.
Are we gonna? Did you already decide which one is a home run and which one is a strikeout?
You tell me.
Or can I? Okay.
Let's see how this goes here.
Okay.
A cool mouth and warm feet live long.
All right, that's a swing and a miss.
I kind of like
that. Is that a home run? All right, explain it to me. A cool mouth and what?
Warm feet live long. Keep your feet warm. Keep your mouth shut and cool. Don't get hot.
That's probably why I don't like it, because I like to talk.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
so
maybe George Herbert isn't for you.
Okay.
A fat housekeeper makes lean executors.
Good Lord.
You have to think on that a little bit.
I like the fact that he called somebody fat. So a fat housekeeper Does what with lean what?
A
Executor?
fat housekeeper makes lean executors. So if you're wealthy,
Yeah.
you got a well-fed housekeeper. At the end of your day,
Okay.
when it's time to go, she's
Oh.
going to be kind of absorbing your pennies, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Were you thinking that was a home run? I can't wait to hear the
I don't know.
strikeouts.
I think it was fat.
This guy needs to stick to writing Dune.
Okay,
Oh,
so
wait,
let me
that's
give you a. It might take me a second to find it, and I'll give you a definite strikeout.
Okay. Am I ruining this by shitting on this?
No, because
Okay,
they're
good.
not good.
Okay.
Well, one that I think we'll agree is a strikeout.
Okay.
It's so bad, it's good. It's almost like the Roadhouse of Proverbs.
The Roadhouse of Proverbs.
When a dog is drowning,
Oh, jeez.
everyone offers him a drink.
What?
I
Yeah, that's
don't-
awful.
I have no idea what that means.
Well, interesting. Reminds me of some other. What was the guy that had there was something about like, when you get yogurt, don't, oh God, it was like, more than one way to skin a cat. It was like, there's more than one way to choke a dog with yogurt or something, or pudding.
Yeah.
What's up with the poor dogs? No,
They're not coming out well in these.
right. First of all, they're raining down from the
Yeah.
heavens, and then they're getting choked with pudding, and yeah, that's rough. But
Yeah.
but I guess that's kind of like saying, you're getting kicked when you're down, or when something goes wrong, everything goes wrong. When it rains, it pours. Is that what it's
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
A little bit. So one, I feel like I've George Herbert, I got to kind of lead him out on a good one.
Please do.
So this relates back to a penny saved is a penny earned is one that he has. He that gets out of debt grows rich.
Yeah, I mean that's good.
Good.
And so I would say this is he is the Rob Deere of like dudes, because he hit 250 because you gave us 4. And honestly, Rob Deere probably didn't quite get to 250.
Yeah, I was going to say he's more like a 222, 218.
Right, but the one hit was a home run.
So
Cool.
George Herbert, in addition to proverbs of varying success, did a lot of other stuff too. So he was an Anglican priest. He wrote poetry, including pattern poems like The Altar and Easter Wings. So they were written in a way that when you see them on the paper,
Okay.
they like make shapes of things.
Right. Now, so that's free verse, right? Or there's something specifically that's
Well,
called
actually, so his one that's called Easter Wings.
yeah, and it looks like
it
Easter
looks like
wings,
wings,
right?
yeah.
I know it's like the E.E. Cummings thing, and other guys have done that. Oh, I do know this guy for his poetry because I studied in English. That's where I know him from. Yeah, we studied him, and I remember some of his poems looking like the thing.
Yeah, and
He wrote like a love letter. One was called. Check me if I'm right here. I believe he had one called The Compass or something. Basically, he describes it's a love letter to his wife. I have to look it up. And basically just saying that like I'm always connected to you no matter how far I am. And I don't know, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was him. But if not, I'll cut this whole thing out. So.
Yeah, he wasn't. I don't think he was married. So
Okay, well then it wasn't him.
yeah. So one other thing I'll say about him, and my George Herbert research hasn't been but so deep, but he is listed under one of the categories in Wikipedia he's under is metaphysical poetry.
Okay.
That's a pretty good category to be in. I don't think I'm never going to be intentionally in that category. So we've established that George Herbert is where this started, but again, his version is a penny spared is twice got.
Right.
So we're going to see the evolution to where it comes to the more well-known penny saved is penny earned. So after its debut in 1633, we see it show up again in Thomas Fuller's The History of the Worthies of England.
Okay.
Estimated 1661 when that came out. And the quote is, by the same proportion that a penny saved is a penny gained, the preserver of books is a mate for the compiler of them.
Right. Same principle.
Yeah. I just like the again, book title of The History of the Worthies of England.
I like it too.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, everybody else didn't make it. I would like to say something about this. So I can relate this to, sometimes when I'm going, man, if I just made 10% more or 20% more, and then I look at my like bank statement, and it's like Applebee's, Chili's, O'Charlie's, and I'm like,
well, you got the holy trinity of classy restaurants there.
and I'm like,
why isn't there a Fridays?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, well, because the Fridays closed down, and the Ruby Tuesday. So you look at that and you go, I don't need to make more money. I need to just go to the grocery, and also my cholesterol would be better. And oh, and by the way, there is that poem that I was talking about. I want to read it to you, and it's by John Donne. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. John Donne came a little bit before George Herbert, but I teased it. The name of it is called A Valediction, and the line I was talking about was, he says, "Our two souls, therefore, which are one, though I must go, endure not yet a breach, but an expansion, like gold to airy thinness beat. If they be two, they are two, so as stiff twin compasses are two, thy soul, the fixed foot, makes no show to move, but doth if the other do." And then it goes on, but it paints that picture. I thought that was George Herbert.
And to make you feel better, George Herbert's godfather, John Donne.
Okay.
So
I was in the family.
You were doing pretty good there.
Thank you. But got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
So I like a penny saved is a penny earned, and I think it's good that you brought this one because it does bring like all kidding aside.
Yeah.
I'd say less than 50%. Of my bank statement is casual dining, but it is a good lesson to teach your kids, you know, and a lot of these are now, especially the dog one. Yeah.
Just, and I guess if I ever have a conversation with my child and she discusses, a dog was drowning, I'm like, what did you do? Well, I try to give it something to drink, and maybe there's a lesson here that I haven't learned yet.
Well, then you're the one guy that doesn't know it, just like the chlamydia with the clap panda or whatever it was.
Koalas, the clap pandas of Australia. Maybe that's the way they start advertising. I think that's a good marketing campaign. It's just that makes me kind of want to go over there.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'm not
maybe
sure.
That's,
you're gonna have to explain that one, guy. I know we do the yes and here, but
no, it just sounds fun until you think about it. You hear something, it's like the clap panda.
If you just say clap panda, it sounds awesome.
It sounds good. And it's like you take a second and go.
You go the clap.
Yeah.
Where have I heard that?
And pandas, they're awful.
Yeah. So all right, penny time. More penny stuff. Can I interject with a
please?
Because you got me thinking here with penny. Before we get to your next one, we haven't had any Pee Wee Herman talk this year.
Yeah.
Penny was one of my favorite parts of Pee Wee's Playhouse. Do you recall Penny?
I do recall Penny.
And my daughter and I still watch Pee Wee's Playhouse together, and she knows it's my favorite part. So sometimes I'll I love Pee Wee Herman, I love Pee Wee's Playhouse, but I've seen him, I kind of fade out. But she'll be like, Dad, it's Penny. So Penny is my one chance to talk about Penny.
Good. Well, thank you for bringing Pee Wee back in.
Yeah, there's no more to that story other than
you mentioned Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman, that's the important thing.
In season 2. He came up in like the first 5 episodes. Yeah. It's weird how these things work out. We didn't. Season 1, Germany came up every episode, not planned.
Right.
Second, it was Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
This time it's Young Gravy, Barry Popick.
Yeah. And STDs now. We had STC.
We did. Well, somebody actually, you remember? I don't know what episode it was. You were making fun of my red face and saying there was like the family of hepatitis as we're like fighting it out. And so I can't remember who it was. It said something to me about like, do you really have hepatitis? I was like, not that I know of, but
hey, it shows people are listening. That's the important thing.
That is true.
And you probably don't have hepatitis.
I mean, probably not. I haven't been to Australia yet and bounced around with a kangaroo.
Clap panda.
Yeah. All right. So what's next?
Next one is one that penny saved and penny earned is pretty good. I don't really ever say that.
No.
This one I use a little bit more, and it's a pretty penny.
Yes.
So you would say that that cost a pretty penny.
Right. Yeah. If you wanted to alternate between that cost an arm and a leg, and it cost I do use this one. That's a pretty penny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it alliterates. It's kind of fun to say.
Right.
And it's not as ostentatious as other ways. You can say, "Oh man, you must have spent a lot of money on that."
Right. Right. That's why we choose our words carefully when it comes to money, things being expensive, things being inexpensive. You don't want to say cheap. You want to say inexpensive sometimes, frugal, and and you also don't want to be the person that, I've always found someone says,
tells you how much money they make or something like that, you know they're
Right.
lying. And as
Yeah.
someone who makes $300,000 a year, that just, I can't stand people like that.
Right. Yeah, I hear that. Well, so I think to that point, I think you can use Pretty Penny. I don't use it this way, but it is a way to bring in the cost of something without being like super overt.
Yeah.
So if you want to know how much somebody paid for their car or
Yeah.
whatever, you wouldn't go up. I mean, some people would, because some people have like no couth at all, but you probably wouldn't come up and say, how much did you pay for that?
Yeah.
But you could say, I bet you that cost a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And then you kind of fish. What are they going to tell me?
Yeah, and as someone who makes close to $500,000 a year, I'm full of couth, if anything. So,
I thought you said you didn't like it when people tell how much they make, but
Yeah,
you keep slipping that. I don't know if I'm hearing you right, but
did
I
I
feel like,
slip in how much?
yeah, you keep saying, and,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
it's going up, by the way, too.
You can
so.
edit that up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I know you don't. I know you don't know you're saying it. I'm pointing it out.
Yeah.
Just because so that you'll stop, because
thank you.
I'm the one that's worrying about my Applebee's budget for the month.
Yeah. Well, when you make $600,000 a year, you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
you
that.
did it again, but okay.
So Pretty Penny, we're going to go back to Phrases UK. And the origin's pretty direct. Comes back to a female playwright, Susanna Centlever, who was active in the 18th century.
Are we just going to ignore that name? Susanna Centlever? What the?
That's not so bad.
Centlever?
Yeah.
Okay. Susanna Centlever.
Yeah.
It sounds like a detergent or something.
Could be.
Scentlever. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't want to just pass that up because that's a weird name.
It is kind of odd. So Susanna Centlever, who was born Susanna Freeman,
Okay, now that's a name. Yeah.
occasionally worked professionally as Susanna Carroll. So she mixed it up a little bit there. According to Wikipedia, is the most successful female playwright of the 18th century. So that's pretty good. So
It is good. It's kind of wild that we haven't heard of her.
Yeah. So it came from her play called A Bold Stroke for a Wife.
Ooh, I like the title.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The synopsis of this play is there's a military officer who wants to marry a young woman.
Okay.
However, her father was a jerk, was jealous that his daughter was going to inherit a bunch of money.
Okay.
So when he passed away, he had her set up with 4 guardians that each had very distinct views on life. So whoever was going to court her to get married basically would never get approval.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's a great premise.
So thank you, what a deadbeat dad. That guy. What a great dad.
He's a jerk, but it's a great
Yeah.
premise. I'd watch that movie, or watch that play. It's pretty cool.
So the military officer in the play.
but I'm sorry, but you're right. He is a jerk because it's just out of spite. So it'd be one thing if it was, somebody has to run the gauntlet before marrying my daughter.
Yeah.
Esau style, or not Esau style. Who was the biblical jerk? Laban style. But this is just he just wants to spite her. Wow.
Yeah. So dad of the year of the 18th century.
Yeah.
So the military officer in question, Colonel Fainwell, must take several different guises to get each of the guardians to like him.
Okay.
So some of his guises are a preening fop, kind of a dandy, like a poet who had found a utopia.
Right.
A mysterious world traveler. A dim-witted Dutchman.
That's mean.
It is mean. But again, English didn't
Dutch.
like the Dutch back then. We love the Dutch, by the way.
And listen to the Dutch episode if you want to know why.
Yeah. And a fire and brimstone preacher.
Mm.
So as you can imagine, this play ends well. The colonel gets his lady. Everyone lives happy. And even though I've never heard of this play, apparently it was pretty popular. It played for many years and actually has been brought back in a few times, been revived. The latest I found was in 1985. It had been played, so it's still out there.
I could see, like, I don't know, Hugh Grant, like a young Hugh Grant.
I could see, yeah.
Kind of being, he's like, because he could kind of.
Well, young Hugh Grant could do about anything.
I agree.
Including Bold Strike for
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Susanna Centlever, some of her other plays. So I feel like, as we find people, it's important as we spend time on Twitter to look through their past career, their past life, and judge them against whatever the current politically correct standards are of the moment.
Right.
Which will probably change by the time this is published. But for
did
now,
Centlever have some tweets she left
let's
behind?
find out.
Oh,
Let's judge her. So,
yeah.
So some of her plays, and let's just, let's put on our anti-fascist hood over our face and get our Coexist bumper sticker on our car and start looking at these things. So
Done.
Some of her titles: The Perjured Husband or The Adventures of Venice. Doesn't sound too bad.
No.
The Platonic Lady.
Okay.
Not sure.
First of all, I'm
already.
That's
Hold
already
on.
problematic.
Get your Twitter ready.
Okay.
The Wonder: A Woman Keeps a Secret.
Oh, no.
Sexist.
Very sexist. And coming from a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say that.
A Wife Well Managed.
Oh, my. Come on, Centlever.
However, when we look back at her play from which Pretty Penny came,
Mm-hmm.
Bold Stroke for a Wife, it is a plot that basically shows support for the British Whig Party, which was the Liberal Party at the time, where she criticized the Conservative Party of the time, religion, and capitalism. So
she's back.
So if we do the bingo, she's okay. I think
fine.
she's all right. So
fine.
She's allowed. She's not canceled.
Nope.
And congratulations, Susanna Centlever. So I just realized that I've told you a lot about Susanna Centlever, but actually not at all where Pretty Penny came from. So it did not come from A Bold Stroke for a Wife.
It was a fun play, though. I'm glad
it was
I know
fun.
about it.
I felt like I had to talk about that. It actually came from one which I think also helps her get back on her bingo chart.
Good.
Of The Man's Bewitched.
Okay.
And the
So
phrase
that's empowering, I think.
Why here may be a pretty penny towards, if the devil don't cross it.
Okay.
So if we weren't sure what that exactly meant, she used the term very close again in another play she did called The Mar Plot, where she states, "I'm like to make a fine penny on it."
Okay, so she's using it all interchangeably.
Yeah.
Pretty penny with fine penny, and it clearly means a lot of money.
Yeah, a lot of money. So, and hopefully she made a lot of money back then, as she was the most famous playwright.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen this all throughout this show. That sounds. I don't like when I say that. And we've seen this a lot where something from a play. I mean, that's what they had for they didn't have all the stuff we have. So a play comes out, you read that play or see it, you hear something, and you just start repeating it, and
it gets out.
It catches like wildfire.
So this is one that I like too because it alliterates. It's fun to say.
Yeah.
Made me think of a couple other uses of it. One, there's the Stone Temple Pilots song "Pretty Penny."
I was thinking about
which
that
is
too.
a good one, and I feel like I need to just say I was one of those guys that like read in Spin magazine that Stone Temple Pilots weren't cool. So like I didn't like them. And granted, their first album they did sound like they were an Eddie Vedder cover band.
I'm going to jump in because I have every once in a while I bring in my vivid memories of Steve that he probably thinks I don't know if you believe it or not. For the longest time, whenever I thought about STP, I thought of you because you remember you had that little boom box that you had in your room. And I hung out at y'all's house all the time because if you listen to the show, you know I grew up with Steve's brother in the same class, and we were good friends and everything. Anyway, I do remember Plush on the radio, and you made a comment of like, "Yeah, it's a Pearl Jam ripoff," you know. And I mean, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess they're not cool," you know, because Steve, Steve's a couple years older, so it's like, "Oh, Steve doesn't think it's cool. It's not cool," and so I can verify from 1994. But then didn't you end up with like a Stone Temple Pilots T-shirt? How did that happen? That was when that album came out because it had the cover of purple on it.
I think I inherited that
from someone else.
Yeah.
Okay. That's right. Fair enough. Same way you got into XTC.
Yeah. I think it ended up cleaning up some dog
I wore it a lot in college.
Okay.
It ended up in college with me.
Okay. Well, it had dog dung on it at some point.
Oh man.
But good album. Purple. That came from. Good song. I heard it the other day. Actually pretty good. And one of my favorite movies that I have not had a chance to talk about, Buckaroo Banzai. Full title being The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. A young Ellen Barkin stars as a Penny Priddy.
Ooh.
Priddy.
Ellen Barkin was hot when she was young.
Ellen Barkin had it going on and still does.
Yeah, she's, if I'm picturing her now. Yeah.
And if you ever get a chance, great 80s movie, kind of a big mix-up of different sci-fi genres, but has Peter Weller, better known as RoboCop, as a star. John Lithgow's in it.
Oh,
Jeff
yes.
Goldblum.
Oh my gosh.
Christopher Lloyd as a lizard person named John Big Booty.
Great Scott. So
And
wait,
that's
what
not
was
a joke either.
John Big Booty?
John Big Booty.
What was the name of this again? The
Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the
Okay.
Eighth Dimension.
I am going to look that up because that is a sick cast.
Yeah, and not even there's even more. There's a lot of hey, it's that guy when you
Right.
watch it. So definitely take
The
a shot to
poster
watch
looks
that.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's got Peter Weller in it.
Hey, guess what score it has on Rotten Tomatoes?
What?
69. So it's pretty good. It's fresh.
Yeah, it's fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh and exciting.
Nice. Oh, and the audience score is 69.
Yeah, all around.
That's good stuff. All right, cool. I would like to say that I listened to Pretty Penny on the way home tonight because I knew we were going to do Penny stuff, and it made the first of all the Penny songs, and there are like Penny Lane. Oh gosh, there's more. Oh, I know, Nirvana, Penny Royalty, but that's the one I think of too as Pretty Penny.
Yeah. Well, I think Stone Temple Pilots ripped the name off from Nirvana. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Sorry. Mid-90s.
you
Steve
did it to me
dropped in.
again.
Yeah. Mid-90s Steve dropped back in here. No.
Yeah.
Good for Stone Temple. You and I saw them together at
We
Innsbruck.
did. That
And
was a weird night.
It was sad. Like
It was.
they were out there to do their job and they did it well.
Yeah.
Like
They did it efficiently.
Yeah.
I spoke with someone about this less than a week ago because,
Mm-hmm.
I know, I was doing a DJ thing and somebody came up to me talking about personal records. She goes, if you ever want to do STP Purple, let me do that with you. And I said, yeah, I saw them, and I told them the story. They were just going through the motions, and weren't they really late too? They were like, it was just kind of a downer.
Yeah, it was. But
They were in Innsbruck. I mean,
yeah. Hey, they play. You know what though? They played Pretty Penny.
They played the hits, and they played Pretty Penny.
They knew what their job was.
And
to
Scott Weiland did the thing where he did his little move a lot. And everyone knows what the move
do.
is.
Yeah. If you don't, if you watch any song with him, you'll see it.
This is Robert Bankett, host of True Facts with Robert Bankett. On the next episode of True Facts with Robert Bankett, I will examine the life and career of John Paul Jones, father of the American Navy. I will discuss his life as a child in Scotland, his career in the British Merchant Marines, and his exploits during the American Revolution, including his legendary victory at the Battle of Flamborough Head, where he declared, "I have not yet begun to fight." In addition, I will focus on his post-revolutionary career as a rear admiral in the Russian Navy, serving under Catherine the Great. Here is a preview of the next episode of True Facts with Robert Bankett. John Paul Jones, father of the American Navy. Other than his most famous quote, "I have not yet begun to fight," John Paul Jones' most lasting contribution to the English lexicon is the phrase, "to put on your big boy pants." This phrase is often used when someone is confronted with a difficult situation and needs to man up, and therefore put on their big boy pants. Jones often used this phrase to rally his sailors during battle, though John Paul's original version was the slightly different variant, "Put your panties back on." John Paul Jones was first heard using this phrase on land after a long night of beer drinking with Ben Franklin. True fact, one late Philadelphia night, a drunken Ben Franklin was on the verge of going to sleep at the tavern table when John Paul rallied the tipsy founding father by shouting, "Benjamin Franklin, put your panties back on. Let's get out of here and find some Mennonite women." Thank you for listening to this preview of the next episode of True Facts with Robert Bankett. John Paul Jones will be released on Wednesday, November 6th. To make sure that you don't miss an episode, please subscribe to True Facts with Robert Bankett at your favorite podcast provider. For episode transcripts, go to speakses.com/truefacts. I wish you a wonderful day, and, as always, roll tide.
So that leads me to my last one, penny dreadful. So this isn't an idiom that I use, or really, I don't think I've ever even said it out loud till today. But I like what it refers to and just some of the things that come up with it, including one of our Origin of Species old friends is going to make a return here in a moment. So that was one of the main reasons I did this. So
good.
Again, our friends at Phrases UK, a penny dreadful, what they define as a cheap publication containing melodramas written in a colorful and down-market style. So I think another way to put it is basically this is kind of think late 1800s, think before comic books, think kind of pulp writing,
sure,
but like at the base's lowest level.
Okay.
So, and hence they were called penny dreadfuls. In the same way, like in the 50s, people looked down on comic books. I think these were looked down, and the subject matter was essentially the same. So, as you can, it's a pejorative title. In case you couldn't tell, it's not meant to be a good thing.
Dreadful's right there in the title.
Phrases UK quotes something in the North American Review in 1861 discussing them, or talk about the people who read this, the working classes. They can read the penny dreadful, but they cannot darn their stockings or mend their shoes.
So really, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
It's always a certain class kind of, calling out the lower class for, or just whatever. But hold on, so they didn't call themselves penny dreadfuls.
No.
They were referred to by, I don't know what you call them, smart people.
People look down on them in the same way. I read that sentence and it made me just think of every time I've thought of someone at King's Dominion. There you go. You can get you can eat enough to be morbidly obese and get a tattoo on your breast, right at the wrong spot. Get it right there, right where it's going to stretch. That's where I want that tattoo.
Right.
And someone give my kid a 64-ounce soda.
Gosh.
They would be reading penny dreadfuls if they could read. So the root of this, 19th century. They were cheap. They were printed on cheap paper. Again, the evolution to pulp writing was based a little bit on the content, but also the quality of the paper. Pretty low quality paper. And the sort of things that were told in there were adventure stories or horror stories or stories about crime, stories about pirates and highwaymen.
Did you ever watch that show on, I think it was Showtime?
I did not, and I was reading about it today, and I feel like I missed out on it because I like a lot of the actors and characters, and a lot of characters in that show were kind of penny dreadful types.
And I wish I had known. I wish I had known what penny dreadful meant. But because now that you say that, I'm like, oh, that makes total sense because it was these characters that were larger than life, kind of the things that you're talking about now.
But actually, a lot of those characters, I think, kind of keeps the vibe of it. But Dorian Gray. Is high literature, and I guess you could argue that the creature from Frankenstein is a little bit of high quality. I guess it's more respected than a penny dreadful would be.
Right.
So doing some research on this, I went to the website, the British Library, which you can find at bl.uk, and they had an article about penny dreadfuls. So they had examples of some of the titles. One, The Flying Dutchman. Or The Demon Ship.
Yeah.
Which I think gets back into the idea of, I wouldn't think of Dutchmen and demon ships, but back then they weren't down with our people, the Dutch.
Yeah. But isn't that like the ships that, like the ghost ships almost? That the Flying Dutchman I've always thought was a cool thing.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like when in doubt, if it's bad, throw Dutch. It's like, again, go back and listen to that episode and you'll understand why.
So there's some other one, Ella the Outcast, or The Gypsy of Rosemary Dell. Cool. I like how they seem to do the dual title to put something racist in there. Yeah. Like if you're not sure who Ella the Outcast is, she's a gypsy.
Right.
So make sure you don't like her for that. Right. A lot of things they did also, I think we actually mentioned this in our true crime episode. These are a little bit of the origin of that. They covered a lot of sensational true crime things that happen in the slums. A very famous one revolved around an urban legend called Spring-Heeled Jack.
Jack the...
Not Jack the... I think I actually conflated that incorrectly. Spring-Heeled Jack was a little bit of an urban legend.
Right.
He was seen as somebody that had clawed hands, eyes that glowed. He wore a black coat and a helmet. and looked devil-like. And this is all from Wikipedia.
Right.
And I'm looking at a picture of him from actually a Penny Dreadful. He looks a little bit like a bad Batman costume.
I remember we've talked about this guy, and we taled about
Right.
Spring-Heeled Jack, and it wasn't Jack the Ripper. It was
we'll
like Jersey Devils and
close. We'll get to that. So,
Okay, so
he,
yeah.
in the 19th century, people would kind of see things and think they were ghosts or something was haunting the streets.
But it was just the Dutch.
It's probably the Dutch or a gypsy, and it started to evolve into a story about somebody, Spring-Heeled Jack, who was called that because he could leap, and also again had claws and was just a wild man that was terrorizing everyone. And people started to, in the same way that people think they've seen Bigfoot or try to put some sort of reason for why he's around.
Yeah.
One of our old friends was actually thought to be potentially Spring-Heeled Jack, and that was our good friend, the Marquis of Waterford.
Oh, the Mad Marquis.
The Mad Marquis is back.
Gosh, that guy. I want to party with I do want to party with that guy. I want to go back in time.
I want to
Bill and
party
Ted
with
style.
him, assuming that wherever I will spend my residence is...
You get to Uber back.
Exactly. I get to Uber a long distance away from him, and he's not necessarily sure where I live.
So his Paint the Town Red episode, we talked about this guy. Okay.
And did we ever decide was he the origin?
He's not the origin. It's folk etymology. At the touristy place in England, they say it came from this guy.
Okay.
But it's definitely not him.
Yeah, but he was crazy enough that people thought he had actually made spring-heeled boots, hence the Spring-Heeled Jack part of it, and was just pretty much a crazy guy.
He was like the Johnny Knoxville or something of his time. You think about like a young Johnny Knoxville just doing weird stuff, and but like I totally hang out with Johnny Knoxville, but again, like there's a cutoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if we needed someone to like hold the koala and not even have to hide what was wrong with it, maybe even I need to see if the Mad Marquis ever went to Australia.
I was about to say,
tie this together.
Did Johnny Knoxville ever go to? Did they ever film an episode of Jackass in Australia?
Yeah, but you know what? You've made me say it. I got two words for you: Steve O. We need let's start the rumor now. So what happened to the koalas?
Hey, Steve-O.
We need to track down the last time he was.
I have a friend that's a Steve-O like super fan that has gone and seen Steve-O like a bunch of times, and he's calmed down a lot. But
your friend or
no, Steve-O.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway,
I don't think he had much of a choice. I think
the
koalas are even like you need to dial it back, Steve-O.
Chill, man.
Save a little bit for yourself. So Penny Dreadful's not really an idiom. I don't think we've ever used. But it gave me a chance to talk about the Mad Marquis.
Yeah.
It did give me the chance to point out maybe one of the reasons that we see all these older publications have two titles is to make sure they can say something racist in there. And for some reason, in case you didn't know, koala bears have chlamydia. Don't be embarrassed like I was.
Clap pandas. Hey, it's Scott, and I wanted to say thank you for listening to Origin of Species. Hope you enjoyed learning these penny facts, and we didn't even do penny for your thoughts. I just thought about that one. Maybe a future penny episode will do that. Hey, if you like this show, why don't you tell a friend about it? Just go right up to a friend and say, hey, got a podcast for you, because when you listen to podcasts, it makes you, I don't know if cool is the right word, but it makes you current, because podcasting is where it's at right now. Take it from me, a podcaster. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can write a little something. All of it helps. Thanks again.
Koala bears have chlamydia.